We're live.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to SJW's Gone Wild. Now, I know we've kind of knocked ourselves off course. I'm pretty sure we had an extra week there between um, between episodes, but we're back, and today we're going to be talking about that wonderful, lovable, amazing thing that we all kind of carry around but hate to carry. The one, the only, lard, fat, jiggly bits, etc., etc., etc. So today on the program with me we have Dawn, also known as Crazy,
Yep.
and Calvin, also known as Crazy.
At times.
And today we're going to be... Let me see, are you presenting to everyone here?
I am not presenting to everyone.
Let me get you so you can present to everyone. There we go. Today we're going to try a new thing. Rather than have us write things up, Crazy has gone ahead and found a couple of her favorite examples, and me and Mark are going to go ahead and Calvin are going to go ahead and respond. So, let's start with the first one. Crazy?
Alright, so here's the first one. I keep seeing mutuals reblog this post that says if you're not attracted to fat people, it's just a personal preference and it's okay. No, this line of thinking is really, really dangerous. Just because it could lead to thinking that it's a preference not to be attracted to trans people, or to people of color, or to any marginalized group. If you're not attracted to any fat people, you are fatphobic, period. And of course, the person who reblogged this, unless all the people you meet are rude, manipulative, and selfish, just saying, they're not unattractive because they're fat. It's the personality. Here we once again have social justice warriors trying to dictate who we should date, and trying to dictate our personal taste in romantic partners.
Interesting. Just so everyone's aware, I like white boys. That's my personal preface. If I met someone I liked who was not white, hey, that would go out the window. But I like white boys. That doesn't make me racist, and it certainly doesn't make it racist for people to be like, hey, I'm sorry, you're just not physically attractive to me. Mark?
Yeah.
Or whoever wants to talk. I just wanted to call.
Yeah.
Who determines what appropriate attraction is? Who determines that? Is it the individual? Do you get to personally determine who you like and who you don't like? Or is your preferences determined by the groupthink of a bunch of fat women who don't feel appreciated enough? Apparently the latter.
Yeah, and of course, apparently you're transphobic if you're not attracted to trans people. Here's the thing. I am heterosexual because I like a certain thing. And if you lack that thing, it's not gonna work.
Well, if you're transphobic for not liking trans people, and you're fatphobic for not being attracted to fat people, does that make you racist if you're not attracted to white people?
No, because you can't be racist towards white people, don't you know?
Oh,
Clearly.
yeah, right. Oh, excuse me. See, the problem with that is, attraction to white people is mandated by the patriarchy, and that's a problem, right? But we have to declare that not having an attraction to fat people is also part of patriarchy, and is a bad thing. So this double standard and double think of just idiocy is already making my head hurt.
I do want to point out that Samantha Luna has says, I don't care about fat. I like big dicks. Is that dick phobic?
Tiny dick phobic is what it is. What, you don't like the small peenie? What about the tiny peenie, right? Who truly cares for the small penises of the world? Not her, clearly.
Oh God.
I mean, how far does this go? Where we have to declare to people what their attractions should be and are now mandated as.
Oh, I've been told that a person that refuses to date a lesbian because they're heterosexual is homophobic.
Oh no, sorry, ladies. Ladies. No. I mean, I'm bisexual, but if I say, hey, I'm not dating you, it's not because I'm homophobic, it's because I don't find you attractive in the least, and I don't have any interest in you romantically, and I'm sorry, ladies, I'm taken. I would use that before I would let you think I'm homophobic, but at the same point, doesn't make me homophobic.
And honestly, the person that said that, I was just like, all right, when it comes to you, it's not that I don't want to date you because you're lesbian. I don't want to date you because you're being a bitch.
I've dated a woman. I've looked at women. There's just something for me that isn't there when I'm dating a guy. It's a particular organ, and I have a preference for that organ. Now, if I truly loved a woman, I'd date a woman. But yeah, there's a reason I have a preference for guys.
So, next one?
Yeah. Also, I don't like the coochie, says Samantha Luna. I'm just airing all my dirty laundry for the SJWs to take a hold of tonight.
Alright. So, calorie restriction dieting doesn't work, and that's a fact. Keep your delusions about that if you wish, but don't expect those who prefer the truth to care.
Calorie restriction doesn't work if you do it wrong, you little idiot.
Here's the thing, calorie restriction alone is a piss poor way to lose weight. You have to combine it with exercise.
And
It's exercise, but also you have to eat the right calories, I think, is the other thing.
Yep.
Well, there's another element here than just yes, calorie restriction is ostensibly just portion control.
Well, portion control works, but
yes.
You only get so far on portion control. Like I've gotten down in weight on portion control, but you know what? I've gotten to the point where I look at myself in the mirror and I go, I'm just not comfortable with this. So now I'm starting to do walks.
Right.
And even then, portion control can only do so much. Having a smaller portion of McDonald's is not going to help. Having a smaller portion of a lean steak is.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Which, of course, we're applying here, not eating McDonald's. Not just, portion control McDonald's is bad.
Or keeping McDonald's to your weekly cheat day.
Yeah. If everything in portions, everything
in moderation.
In moderation. My grandmother used to do that Weight Watchers diet, and she got me on it. And I was very heavy prior to the Weight Watchers diet, and I've been slowly slimming down because I can't stand the food they shove on you. But I've learned that the portions I eat are what's bothering me. So, I'll do my binge eating where I'm really tired and exhausted, so I eat an entire pizza because it makes me feel good. But then I remind myself that that's kind of gross, and I should not do that very often. And you know what? I've learned that I shouldn't do it very often. I'm down to half a pizza when I'm depressed. It's pretty good.
Yeah. When I started my job, which is at a horse ranch, a very physical farm work, I lost a lot of weight. I've started evening out, but that's mainly because I have not changed my diet one bit. I really got to work on that, though.
Mm-hmm. So in other words, you're right, little SJW. Calorie restriction diets alone don't work, and that is a fact. But you need to think about what you're talking about, because there are people who prefer the truth, and you're not one of them. Pat, 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 pat. I'm getting my bitch out tonight. Wow.
Yeah, well, that makes for entertainment. This one kind of pissed me off a bit. Forcing children to diet is child abuse. It's okay to be a fat child. It's okay to be fat. Here's the thing. Letting your child be morbidly obese is also is legally child abuse. People have gotten their children taken away over it.
And rightfully so, considering that they were not allowing the child to be disciplined in any way, and they were allowing the child to be out of control and unhealthy. And it's childhood obesity is so much more dangerous than young adult obesity, and people don't understand why.
There's a reason why type 2 diabetes had to be renamed from adult onset diabetes, and that's because of childhood obesity and it starting to occur in children for the first time, like, ever.
Right. All right,
kind
hold on.
When you've gotten your child to a point where their blood sugar can't be regulated by their own body anymore because of the hormonal imbalances that have been induced by your inaction to keep your child disciplined on a regular diet. And guess who's providing the child the food?
Let me tell you, as a picky eater as a child, I ate a lot of peanut butter sandwiches. Because my grandmother had a rule. You don't like the food, you cook your own goddamn food. I have slaved over this stove, and you are going to cook your food. And you know what? I ate a lot of peanut butter sandwiches. My grandmother never once, because there was a store down the road that sold my favorite food in the world, which was it was the chicken cheese sandwiches, and it was literally fried boneless chicken on a sandwich with Swiss cheese on it and mayo. That was what I always craved when I needed it. So my grandmother never once handed me a $20 bill and said, okay, here's your food allowance for the week. And you know what? It taught me to have a greater appreciation of food. So there's a lot to be said for parenting in this. And forcing your child to eat the food shoved in front of it is not put in front of it is not abuse. So therefore, this is completely illogical. Or maybe I'm completely illogical. I don't know.
And, of course, the very definition of quote-unquote dieting is probably, no, you can only have half a serving of potato chips for your snack. You can't just eat out of the bag.
Oh,
and
that's death. Also, you're presenting, but you don't have anything up.
I know, my little program crashed.
Okay. We are working on technical difficulties.
Here we go.
There we go.
I was getting the program back up while I had stopped presenting. So, this is...
What? No, I've read it, and no. I have so much to say about this, so I'm going to mute myself. You guys talk about it, and then tell me when you're done.
Well,
this is going to be good.
I do have a beef here with artificial sweeteners. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
So artificial sweeteners were introduced introduced when there was a large political movement against the sugar farmers in Cuba and in Haiti and another southern.
Oh, it's about politics. Okay.
Oh, it's got to go there. I'm sorry. I'll just count this as my little segment of history here. But American imperialism, in a way, basically just large food corporations were going overseas and establishing themselves as the financial barons of those small countries. For example, Hawaii. Well, the fallout from all of that was a pushback that fought against the lobbyists that were allowing for these kind of regulations, these kind of events to happen through Congress. So that's where the pushback comes for sugar. Sugar is, I'm sure if anybody in the audience has heard, sugar is a poison. No, it's not. Sugar is not a poison.
And neither is high fructose corn syrup, mind you. Your body digests it pretty similarly to sugar.
Right. Now, sugar is not a part of a natural diet, for a human being. That's true if we're going strictly by evolutionary means, but neither is bread. So,
however, you've got plenty of the same. Your body digests a lot of apples as the same way it does sugar. You get the same end result.
Exactly. So, what is artificial sweeteners, and where do they come from? Well, a bunch of companies who were losing money because they had all of these sugar plantations, but they weren't able to sell their goods, decided they were going to come around and try to figure out a way to artificially sweeten things, and they were going to provide that as a good. Of course, the soda industry and other other dessert industries, they saw an opportunity there to take the chemicals, which would be cheaper than importing sugar, right, and use them instead. And so, in order to start publicizing that they had these wonderful, beautiful, good foods made out of these artificial sweeteners, they had to make sure that the artificial sweeteners were sold as being some kind of alternative to evil, nasty, disgusting sugar. They went too far. Now sugar has been labeled as some kind of poison, and these artificial chemicals made in the laboratory from no real natural material are somehow good for us. They're better for us. So I'm not surprised that mom has stage 3 kidney cancer and diabetes. Kidney disease and diabetes because of artificial sweeteners and all of that. That probably meant that mom felt that she was okay eating other things as well. But the chemicals inside the artificial sweeteners were certainly responsible.
Yeah, I wasn't really looking at the artificial sweeteners. I was thinking of the dieting aspect.
Well, the dieting of the aspect of it, of dieting and artificial sweeteners, dieting how, which we don't know, right? We don't know how mom was dieting, but the artificial sweeteners are probably a big part of it, informing I can drink this Diet Coke rather than drinking a regular Coke, and that's better for me, and I don't have to worry about going to the gym today, because when I ate my pizza and three bowls of ice cream, and I mean tubs of ice cream, and then downed a half a cow of milk, right? I drank a Diet Coke after it. I'll be fine.
Are we ready for me?
Admittedly, there's some like my mother's artificial sweeteners isn't made in a lab. She uses something based off of honey, for example.
Right.
There are different kinds.
There are alternatives to sugar, and then there's artificial sweeteners, and there are like Truvia. Truvia comes from the Truvia plant, and it is a like sugar substitute that it tastes sweet to our tongue, and it's good. It's made from natural fiber and it's healthy. But then you have Sweet and Low, which is nothing but a chemical, and there's nothing natural to it. And your kidneys start processing that sugar, and they go, WTF, what is this shit? And of course your kidneys start to break down, because they basically are processing that sugar the same way they process alcohol. Which, think about that. You're at a lifetime of drinking all of this Diet Coke, you're not getting drunk off of it, and your kidneys are still exerting themselves to process it. Way to go. So that's how that happens. You had an overreactive FDA. You had an economic structure that was being controlled by government regulation, and a hypersensitive America to health. And the net result was an America that is now eating and processing food, eating processed food, and somehow convincing itself that processed food is somehow better than their natural foods. Go figure.
My turn?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
All right, my grandfather is diabetic. My grandmother has thyroid problems, and I'm very likely going to become diabetic, and I'm probably still heavy because I have unaddressed thyroid issues. I'm showing some of the symptoms. I'm working through my medical issues, but I'm giving you the background of where I come from. My family was constantly dieting because my grandparents both were just a little overweight and wanted to get down to where they were healthy. Dieting, when you do a fad diet, diets where you don't stay on it, diets where you restrict yourself to the point of starvation, diets where you do not go into it with a sense of, I want to be healthy, but rather a sense of guilt, never, ever work. They don't work because rather than addressing the problems in your feeding habits, you go after some kind of miracle cure where you're going to shed pounds like mad. And that can screw up your body. So yes, dieting incorrectly can screw up your body. And just as Calvin said, sugars that are in our products that are artificial sweeteners can screw your body over, can cause cancer. It is not fun. So here's how you do it, folks. Here's how you work here's how you work on your health, okay? You start by addressing the issues. I have a problem where I eat when I'm depressed. If I'm stressed or anxious or worried or depressed, I eat. Eating makes me feel good. That's a trigger for me. The other thing is I like particularly unhealthy foods. That's another one. The third is I'm severely addicted to caffeine, mentally. So what you do is instead of trying to go on the nearest diet, like I think that the latest diet is like you only eat in 15-minute, every hour you eat like a small snack. Instead of doing that, which can cause untold damage to your body if you don't actually know what you're doing to your body, instead you go to a doctor. And the doctor will tell you what you need to cut out, and you need to have an actual discussion with him. Because the doctor has gone to school longer than you and knows the effects of things on your body. The other thing is, instead of switching over to artificial sweeteners, you just watch the fucking amount of sweets you put in your body. Dead simple. I know I have a Coke today. I actually have a Dr. Pepper right near my feet right now. I have a Dr. Pepper. I don't have Dr. Peppers or sodas anymore. I have maybe once a week a soda. I've switched over to teas and coffee drinks. And if I can get the coffee drinks out of my diet more, it'll make me lose weight faster. So no, your mom does not have stage 3 cancer because of her diet. She has it because she's relied on artificial chemicals being pumped into her body by her own fucking hands in some desperate attempt to stay to do the same thing but expect different results. Okay? And no, she doesn't have kidney damage because she dieted. It's because she dieted in a way that was unhealthy, because she thought she knew the most about her body than another professional. Go to the doctors if you think you're overweight. Talk to a doctor. They will give you basic information. And if you follow that, it'll be fine.
Yeah, there's definitely a balance that you need to find.
Samantha says she just drinks water because she would be a balloon if she didn't.
I refuse to give up soda. I refuse. That's one of my things.
Yeah, soda is one of the worst things that you could be drinking. It's really just distilled sugar.
Yeah,
It's
but I
distilled
only
sugar
have
and
like one can a
carbonation.
day, so.
Well, yeah, 1 can a day is probably enough, and it's probably suitable. But just for people that are like really serious about it, you start trying to work off of that 1 can a day, and your body's now trying to use that soda as a means to fuel your body through hydration, and all it has is sugar. So it's just going to make you sicker.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why like professional athletes avoid that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do find myself drinking a lot of Gatorade during the summer at work, but.
Well, even like regular Coca-Cola and Pepsi is made directly from artificial sweetener.
Oh, yeah. I prefer to get that Pepsi throwback with the real sugar.
Or
Right.
yeah, the Mexican Coke is amazing. Point being, let's move on because I think we've all had a good rant against artificial sweeteners, and I think people are getting bored. So
Yeah.
next up.
Again, it's not as simple as only the quote-unquote amount. I have consistent patients in the acute rehab unit at the hospital that are morbidly obese that we have on a 1,800 or 2,000 calorie diet per day, or per day diet, and they will continue at the same weight over 14 to 30 days. If we're just as simple at the number amount, these individuals would have weight flowing off with therapy and rehab, as calculations would tell you they need 3,500 to 5,000 calories just to sustain. Results prove otherwise. Here's the thing. 14 to 30 days ain't enough.
I'm surprised the medical professional thinks that a month is enough time to see somebody's showing a slow and steady decline in weight.
Yeah, like if you're like, and honestly, a 2,000 calorie diet per day is still a lot of calories.
That is a lot of calories.
That what they're doing is they're feeding. Well, it's less than what they need to keep that weight. They are feeding more than what we need for the body. So they don't lose weight super fast, because you know what? That kills your kidneys. That causes a lot of bad injuries, and also it causes things like loose skin, which no one wants.
Like with the previous one of the ones back where we talked about the mother who had kidney disease. That's exactly what that would cause if you drop that calorie count too low. But you're not going to see the body fluctuate down underneath.
Yeah. I suspect that this isn't a doctor, and this is like some sort of nurse or one of those 18-month program medical assistants.
Yeah, because a month is not long enough to show. Like, when they start saying we need to watch your calories, it's always in the context that you're also increasing your metabolism. And so if you're not increasing the metabolism and you're feeding the person at the same rate, at the same time every day, and they're always receiving those calories, their body's going to maintain itself. If they are slowly increasing their metabolism, so it's burning more calories than they're taking in, then of course they're going to start working off the calories that they already have in their body. But instead, you have somebody that's lying immobile in a hospital bed. They're not burning any calories. They're not burning nearly as much calories as they were when they were up and active and moving around.
Assuming they were up and active and moving around.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Next.
A month is enough if your metabolism is really fast. I stopped eating once and lost about 15 pounds in a month.
Well, that would happen if you stopped consuming calories altogether, which I would completely unadvise. Don't stop eating food.
Personally, I probably eat around 3,000 calories a day, and I still lose weight because, again, I'm doing farm work. I'm picking up 50-pound grain bags and carrying them about a football field in length across a barn.
Yeah, and when I worked at Disney, it was all walking and moving and bending, and I lost weight, but now that I'm in a more sedentary job, I'm starting to gain it back pretty quickly.
There's nothing healthy at all about not eating at all. You will lose a lot of weight if you stop eating, though, because your body is now...
Your body will soon start consuming the muscles instead of the fat, though.
Oh,
okay. So, but
he says not stop eating. Apparently she either typed it wrong, because I'm reading I stop eating.
Portion control is going to help you lose a lot of weight really fast, especially if you keep your active lifestyle the way it was. So, for example, if you've been like crazy, if you've been working, we're doing this job in the barn for a long period of time, and then you start cutting back on your calories, you start cutting back on your portions and controlling your portions, your body's going to have less material coming, so it's going to start using your body fat naturally.
Yeah.
To fuel your typical exertion. Your body's going to be fine with that.
I'm working on that, but me and my coworker have really poor impulse control about the McDonald's and Chick-fil-A that are nearby.
So, she says she started eating little because smoking and had reflux and anxiety attacks. So, okay. So she just means she stopped eating as much.
Okay, so... Yeah. When I was on ADD medications, I dropped a lot of weight because I would literally forget to eat.
Yep. That's another thing for another day, though. Next up.
Alright, this is one of the long ones.
Mm-hmm.
Was wondering if of course, if you can't tell from I'm not sure how old this theme is because they change it every week, but this is from This Is for Them Privilege.
Okay.
I normally don't like to name the blogs here, but...
It's one of the more popular ones.
It's notorious. Yeah, it's so well known that... And also, honestly, And shoot, I forgot to... censor out the...
That's okay.
Was wondering if mods here have opinions about thin or in-betweens cosplaying fat characters. I love how there's an in-between fat now.
What is the in-between fat? I don't understand.
I don't know. It's just started like there's something called small fats, and big fats make fun of them. I'm not lying. Is there a respectable way to do it, or is it always wrong?
We're talking about fat appropriation now?
Yes. My personal opinion, not speaking for others, no, there is no respectful way to do it. You have upwards of 99% of the characters, and there are whose body shapes are more like yours. We get minuscule amounts of representation, and we get a rift of shift if we dare cosplay thinner characters. If you just... So here's the thing. If you dare cosplay thinner characters in a bikini or a Speedo, lady, if you decide to ignore this, you're already being a jerk. If you wear a fat suit, you're a complete and total asshole. Don't do it. Here is another person replying to the post. I personally don't care if they do it respectfully. No fat suits, no padding, etc. I feel saying we as fat people can cosplay fat and skinny characters. You can't because your skinny is a huge double standard.
Agreed.
Agreed. And here's the mod. If there was such a thing as a huge power imbalance, it would be a double standard. A power imbalance changes everything. The lack of representation we have harms us, manifests. I don't even know what that word is. Manifestly and obviously. Manifestly isn't a word.
Manifestly. That's not... No. That's... No. You don't get to do that to English SJWs. Continue.
Well, it's also, objectively, problematic.
Oh, God. Just...
To be fair, problematic is an actual word. They're just using it really wrong.
Oh.
Thin people cosplaying fat people has actual real-world effect of telling us that our representation doesn't really belong to us. It's erasing our bodies, reducing. It doesn't have that effect for fat people to cosplay thin people. And indeed, fat people put ourselves at risk when we do that. It's a false equivalency in the same way as reverse racism and heterophobia are.
What? No, darling. No, I'm a fat cosplayer. I cosplayed when I was younger. I was much bigger than I am now. And you know what? If you design the outfit right, it doesn't really put you at risk.
Yeah, honestly, it really depends. Are you going to wear something that fits, or are you going to wear something 2 sizes too small? Exactly. Which is a common problem for skinny cosplayers playing Wonder Woman and such.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't even like thin cosplayers that decide to play lingerie Captain America. Like, seriously, you're walking around in your underwear, lady.
You know, I would do that just because me in my lingerie is basically me in sweatpants and a t-shirt. So I mean, that's about the amount of lingerie I'm going to give anyone.
I like to point something out here. It would be a double standard, she says. A power balance changes everything. A power balance? What? The lack of representation we have harms us, manifestly and obviously. Thin people cosplaying fat people has actual real-world effect on what? Real-world effect on what? Somebody who is less size than the character than they are portraying that character has a real-world effect of harm in that it what? It tells us that our representation, blah, 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 blah.
And honestly, I have a legit question.
The problem here is, let me finish the thought. The problem here is that this real-world harm is the fat person, this lady, hearing something from it. Their perception, the message that they receive. They are literally projecting onto the thin people what they are already hearing in themselves, and then blaming the thin people for it.
Yeah, and I have a legitimate question. Who the fuck will be crazy enough to wear a fat suit to a convention? You realize how hot those things those places get.
Yeah,
Don't push it. Somebody might do it just because they want to try to adhere to the body size
this
or the image.
No, I know, but there's some cosplay costumes I'm just like, dude, are you nuts? You're wearing a wool trench coat in the middle of August inside a crowded place. You're gonna get heat stroke.
Yeah,
And
not everybody thinks before they do.
this is a reason why less and less people like feminist and SJW. They tell you that a certain demographic is oppressed, and then people who are part of that demographic say, no, I'm not oppressed. Thank you, Polaris. That is the point of this entire show. We basically want to sit here and just continually repeat that in every possible conceivable way, and then laugh at them. That is essentially what this show is going to be.
Yeah.
So it's pretty, it's going to be formulaic somewhat, where it's just us sitting down and talking about things we've noticed SJW saying, and then trying to dispute them by being logical and clear-headed and, generally the exact opposite of what they say we are.
Can I tell it? Can I reveal the big reveal at the end of the story?
What?
Who the most oppressed class is? Can I tell them that?
No, you can't.
Oh, I can't let the cat out of the bag yet.
No, you've got to be.
Future episode, I promise. You'll get to find out who the most oppressed person on the planet is, and none of you will be able to guess who. You'll never guess who the SJWs think the most oppressed person on the planet is.
Yeah, but I'm just going to say one more thing before we move on. Personally, I think people that are a little chubbier look awesome in corsets. And steampunk outfits.
Before we move on, I do have one more thing to say. And I said it in chat. Cosplaying is, let's be honest, folks, it's an amazing hobby that brings people together. It's a lot of artistic talent converging on a love of the genres that it represents. So take it from someone who's a cosplayer, please. I love this. But I'm also a LARPer, and I'm going to say this with all confidence. Cosplay is about a step above LARP in the amount of geekness it takes to actually do this thing. Okay? LARP is only a step above because it involves cosplaying and throwing beanbags at people. Okay? And I don't even do the beanbag throwing LARP. I do the stand around and look cool LARP.
So, you mean the one where you solve the big monster boss fight with a tournament of rock, paper, scissors?
Essentially. So, let me be frank. That cosplaying in and of itself is a risk socially, but if you're willing to take the risk socially to walk around looking like Iron Man in his bunny slippers, you might as well accept that it's going to be a risk no matter what your size is, okay? So let's take a step back here and just laugh at the fact that we pretty much all share a culture of it's a risk to be us. It's a risk to be more than the cool version of geek. We all grew up, at least everyone who I believe is listening to this, grew up in a time where it was not chic to like these things. And we accepted that. And we have to accept that it's always going to be a risk. But if we hide behind this concept of we can't have it be a risk, we're going to lose the idea of geekdom, which is loving passionately without worrying about the consequences. So, I don't get what she's talking about simply because cosplay...
I flask to ye in your nerdom.
Yeah. Yeah. Being a geek is being a geek, so let's just be honest here, okay?
And let's face it, most of us cosplay partially because they're wonderful conversation starters. And also to get people to pay attention to you.
And also because you really love the character and you just think it's freaking awesome. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. And
So, unlearn healthy.
What?
Oh, no.
Healthy is a culturally constructed term. It tells us what and how we should be consuming and how our bodies should look as a result. Healthy is an exclusionary concept that creates certain binaries. Healthy designates what foods should and should not be eaten. Discourses about healthy food, even in left-wing or alternative contexts, display large amounts of privilege because they often suggest that local and organic foods are are best, despite in reality those foods are often alienating or inaccessible and it can still be unjustly produced. Local produce is often grown using overworked and underpaid migrant labor. Uh, the
Oh my god! Oh my god!
wait.
No,
This
no.
is gonna kill me! Stop! You can't keep going, I'm gonna die!
The privilege of local and organic food upholds the problematic binary of healthy and unhealthy bodies in ways that are radicalized, classed, and fatphobic. Thin bodies are usually seen as healthy, while fat bodies are deemed unhealthy. Health and weight are not inherently tied. Yes, fat bodies are equated with adverse health conditions. The systematic stigmatization and dehumanization of fat people, fat phobia, is often justified as concern for fat people's health. Fat phobia is problematic and no one should be subject to stigma based on their health or unhealth. Healthy bodies should not be defined by what they look like nor what goes into them. Stop shaming bodies. Health and weight are not inherently tied. No body is a bad body. Stop policing what other folks eat and instead work towards a health that is accessible for everyone. Here's what I'm going to say real quick. I don't condone being an asshole to someone just because they're fat. Their health and lifestyle is probably none of your business. It's when they try to make your health and lifestyle and your personal opinions their business is when I have the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Please, let me off my leash.
Go
ahead.
Mark.
Oh my gosh! Okay, so first, healthy is a culturally constructed term. Okay, I will allow that, and then I'll ask another question. Is it necessarily bad? Is it necessarily bad that there is a culturally constructed term that defines what the understanding of a culture's health is? Is there? Second, it tells us what and how we should be consuming and how our bodies should look as a result. Well, yeah, fucking duh. No, really, duh. So there is an acceptable body image, right, that we hold as a species when we look at other species. Do you know how chimpanzees react when they see an injured chimpanzee?
They killed him.
Well, no, not necessarily, but they will try. That is step 2, but step 1 is concern, right? If a chimpanzee looks at another chimpanzee and chimp B has a broken leg, right? First act is concern. Second act is leaving the chimpanzee behind. We don't feed it food.
Because chimpanzees are assholes.
Well, yeah, but they're also very concerned about their own personal survival. Why would you feed food to something that has a broken leg and can't fend for itself or help the tribe of chimps in any way, shape, or form? The answer is you wouldn't. Now, human society, we understand that there is some space wherein a person with a broken leg can get better. Similarly, a person who has a broken digestive problem, a metabolism that is out of control, can be helped and can be made to be healthy. And the only thing that is keeping that person from being healthy is their own inability to control their own food intake. So if we could maybe possibly tell them enough information, they might be able to take care of themselves. And then you have these idiot numbskulls who are going, well, healthy is a culturally constructed term. No shit, Sherlock! Really? Oh my gosh! Oh, no, it gets worse here. Unhealthy is an exclusionary concept that creates certain binaries. Binaries, Acacia! Binaries! Let it not be so! What we really want is that need a triumvirate. How about a quadrilateral? Would that be better? A septagonal structure in which 17,000 different genders are accepted, right? That would be the best thing ever. But having only two options. One option or 3 options, but not 2, goddammit. But, oh my god. Maybe if we had a third option, right? So you have thin, fat, and what was it? Little fat?
Small fat and big fat.
Small fat and big fat. That's their triumvirate. They couldn't deal with the concept of there being only 2, and they certainly can't find a way for there only to be 1, so they had to come up with 3. What is wrong with progressivism and his inability to deal with the number 2? I don't understand. Healthy diet designates what foods should and should not be eaten. You know, it's really not good for you to eat motor oil. Motor oil is not healthy. Don't eat motor oil. And now I am the most repressive person on the planet because I've just told the entirety of the internet not to eat motor oil. It's not healthy. Don't eat styrofoam. Don't eat your house insulation. Don't eat your dog. That is alive.
My God, I'm
Hasn't
so
been
oppressed right now.
I know. Don't
This
eat your
is making me
carpet.
so uncomfortable.
But maybe the carpet on your floor in your bedroom or the carpet of your girlfriend. I don't care. Don't eat it. Right? There is some food that is healthy, like bananas and bread and meat and milk for some people, right? And then there is unhealthy things that you could be consuming instead, like cyanide. Like, really? Even in a left-wing or alternative context, displaying large amounts of privilege because they often suggest that local or organic foods are best, despite the reality that these foods are often alienating and oh my gosh. So this goes back to the food, like the food desert thing, right? Where some parts of the United States don't have access to good natural and organic foods. So these places are now called food deserts. I'm going to tell you the absolute truth. There is no one in the fucking country of the United States of America that is a food desert except for the Death Valley.
Mojave?
Yeah, the Mojave. That is the only actual food desert in the country. If you are hungry and you need food, I guarantee you can walk to a grocery store and go up to the manager and say, look, I am really, really hungry. They will give you a sandwich.
Yeah, admittedly, sometimes they will try to what's essentially terraforming of your local environment so you could say, I don't know, grow oranges in Maine, for example. I'm sure they don't actually do that, but people have been trying to do that, and that's not good for the environment either. What really happens is you just have to suck up that you can't have oranges out of season in Maine and things like that. But yeah, there is the issue of cost and people complaining about how organic foods or locally grown costs more. I know in at least Massachusetts you can use food stamps at most farmers markets. Just saying.
Yes, in Vermont you can do that. Now,
I hope the next
now
one.
that he's ranted. So you know people have to eat dog. It is in Alaska. I'm not joking about it. Okay, well there is certain places where food is scarce, but I think when they say the term food desert, they mean that it's like good marketplaces as opposed to, or at least that's how they used it in my sociology classes, which are good, you know, grocers where you can buy things at relatively cheap prices as opposed to like the little mini stores.
Right? A desert is a place where the arid nature has not allowed for natural or even unnatural growth to occur.
It's a social desert. It's considered a social desert, and it's
social
talking.
reality does not have arid temperate climates. I'm sorry, it's true. So if you really want to, if you want to use the term as it would make any sense in the English language, an actual food desert would be like there's Serengeti.
All right, let me.
Or western, northwestern China.
Somebody's button of annoyance has been pushed.
Oh yeah.
Just a
Mark.
I'm gonna take a big breather and probably put myself on mute for a second.
Thank you.
Okay.
So the point is that sociologically, it just means that they don't have access regularly to food that would not be considered convenience store food. And so regardless of the word usage, there you go. Now, all I'm going to do is leave you with my opinion, which is in a form of a little skit in my head, where there's this older, ancient human who's, just stumbled out of the cave or down off of the tree, or if you believe the Bible, out of the Garden of Eden. And he's standing there with his son, and he says to his son, "Don't eat that plant, it's poisonous." And the son goes, "That's just a social construct," and eats the plant. How do we still have people who would eat the plant in our gene pool? Seriously? Like, I'm not even advocating anything. I'm just saying that, like, natural selection, if it were a real thing, should have wiped out this concept of it's just a social construct.
Well,
and it hasn't, so clearly
No, it has. It arguably did. It has been reintroduced through social progressivism, but I'm going to shut up now.
Yes, okay. So, we can move on because he is legitimately going to just continue on about this for as long as we let him. So, Mark, I'm pulling the plug.
All right, this one, this one I believe has been around. The thing happened. This one has been around for years, so I honestly did not bother to censor the URL because
Okay.
I first saw this like 2 years ago. I'm not even sure if the same person owns that URL, but take a good look at this picture. According to the aquatic ape theory, humans have blubber for the same reason hippos, dolphins, seals, walruses, and whales have it. It keeps us warm, helps us float in water. We have blubber because, unlike other apes, we evolved on tropical beaches. Biologically, fat is healthy, but we think it's unhealthy because we are not in our natural habitat.
Oh my gosh! The stupidity here! Okay, where do I start with this one? Let's start with tropical beaches. Wonderful, placid places they are, right? They're warm and temperate in climate, and they're hot, and they're sunny, and they're hot. Are you following me? What the fuck would an ape need blubber for? On a beach in the equator? So there goes your aquatic ape theory down the toilet with the rest of that fat, idiotic mess of idiocy. Now, I don't know if this is a picture of the poster. I'm going to assume that it is not. And I think, number one, that it is pretty sad that this poor girl's image is now eternally plastered with and coupled with this idiocy below. Right?
Yeah, thankfully, the image is very blurry, so we can't really make out her face.
Yeah. I feel sorry for the girl if the girl is not the idiot that posted the stupid thing here. I am on the verge of believing that this post is some kind of a troll, because there's no way this. I can't fathom the levels of this idiocy. Right? Tropical beaches helps us float in water. What? No.
And keep in mind that blubber is a completely different kind of cell.
Like, yeah, there is no physical relation between the structure of the human fat cell and the blubber cell of other mammals. There's no relation between the two. Yes, both of them are made up from similar products and similar ingredients chemically. But I'll put it this way. If a walrus had human legs and we got the walrus on a diet and the walrus started running, the walrus would never lose its blubber, because blubber is not lost and is not used for energy. Let me repeat that. Blubber is not used for energy. Blubber is a type of flesh cell that insulates the body and helps keep in warmth. Fat cells do not insulate the body. They do not keep in warmth. They don't. If they did, then we would all love to be fat because it would keep us warm. But it doesn't keep you warm.
This is why that animals that have blubber tend to have evolved in the Arctic and Antarctic.
Versus our tropical beach primates.
Yes.
Next.
All right, no, I have something to say. The aquatic ape theory ranks up there with the hollow earth theory. Just no. I want you guys to understand that as a psychology major, I had to sit through some of these things, and I actually had someone use this theory in biology, and guess what? It's not actually a thing. It's right up there with Hollow Earth and Atlantis. It's really not a thing. We aren't aquatic apes that came down from the trees of like beaches. We were on the Serengeti. This is a thoroughly disproved theory, and if this is still relevant...
So my grandpa isn't like some aquatic monkey from the Philippines?
Well, we could argue evolution all the livelong day. That's not the problem.
But
We are more
I want
suited
I
to
want the
swimming.
mental image of my grandfather ape first coming down from the coconut trees of the Philippines and like lounging basketly on the waters there of the Pacific.
No,
On the other side of the planet because he couldn't deal with the idiocy of the other monkey tribes.
Yeah, no, it's more likely they were savanna natives, and the only reason we believe that is because in the savanna you would have a distinct advantage by standing upright because you'd be able to. You got me on evolution. Anyway, point being, it's probably not true.
Yeah, we are better suited to swimming than other apes, but this is more likely because we had to cross rivers and such. And our babies have this odd thing of instinctively knowing how to hold their breath when underwater. We still don't know why the fuck that is.
Next.
Joe the Bull says aquatic ape theory is still only a hypothesis. Yeah, well, so is like every other thing we have in science, but it's very unlikely it's true, and it's been kind of thoroughly disproven. Yeah. But it's a hypothesis, and if it's proven to be more valid than the others, I'll eat my words. I really will.
So I'm not going to read this news story because the reply is what's more important. But basically, this girl lost 65 pounds at age 9 after weighing 186 pounds.
That's incredible.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah, her mother basically just, basically what her mother did was she started working out with her, like for an hour and 15 minutes every day, having her child join basketball, cheer, and swimming, things like that. And so she went from this to this. And honestly, she's equally beautiful in both pictures. She's a little girl.
I would agree with that statement, that she's a very beautiful young girl. And my conception of beauty has nothing to do with body image and has everything to do with effort. So a little girl that's put that much effort into keeping herself and making herself happy, it's beautiful.
And you know what? It's nice to know that the mom could have just gone, oh, go out and do it on your own. But no, the mom made it a social event, and that's probably why it stuck.
And now their privilege is probably stronger for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful parroting here. Let's see how West JW's decided to ruin it.
Yeah.
So, trigger warning, weight loss.
Okay, stop. I'm going to make a new proclamation as the anti-SJW. We shall no longer use trigger warnings. We shall call them wambulance.
Wambulance alerts.
Wambulance alerts, please.
Okay, wambulance alert. Weight loss. You're right, because trigger warning could trigger someone who's afraid of guns.
I am triggered because I'm now the anti-SJW, and trigger warnings trigger me.
This was on a local news station, WATE6, and also posted on their Facebook page. Many of my friends, of my family and friends, share this, saying saying things like, so wonderful that she has reclaimed her life. It's so sad to me because when I was 9, my mother would have called the local news if I had lost a few pounds. She was that obsessed. This is thin privilege. Thin people getting to wince at this poor 9-year-old's before picture and ooh and ah at her after. She is 9. I'm honestly in tears having to write this. Moderator note. To stave off the horrid, but I can't believe you're against this little girl getting healthy comments. You have just as little right to police the bodies of children as you do adults. I'm sorry, who's the one body policing now? Less right, considering that the bodies of children are still changing and behaviors that come with restriction and heavy exercising 90 minutes a day plus joining 3 teams aren't a priori good for children. Also, losing weight in childhood doesn't mean she has a better chance of keeping it off. And given that there's a national story trumpeting the importance of her weight loss, it's not a national story. It was on the local news. And importance of her weight loss above all else, what do you think is going to happen when she deviates just a little from this grueling schedule and gains some weight? Or maybe she wants to join the debate team and competitive choir next year instead of 3 sports teams. In other words, why do fat haters think that diet and exercise should this be girl's prison just because she's fat.
Wait a minute.
If
Wait
she
a
wants
minute.
to join debate team, good for her. Mental exercise is as good as physical exercise.
Wait a minute. Go back. Go back to the picture and the little blurb about the story, would you?
Yeah.
Like, okay. So she lost. Brianna and her mother now work out at least an hour and 15 minutes every day. So that hour and 15 minutes will be enough to keep off the weight loss. It really
honestly,
will.
That's honestly very small. That's not much a day at all.
Yeah, and if Brianna just did drop one or two of the teams, if Brianna decided to go and just play basketball or just swim, she wouldn't have to. I mean, remember, these are sports that are basically, if I remember, the competitive cheer team is a year-round thing, but basketball and swim are two separate time periods.
Yeah, they're opposite season. Basketball is a winter sport. Swimming is a summer sport.
Right. So Brianna isn't like doing 3 a day, SJW of mine. She is in fact doing 1, which is, I did dance as part of my plays, and that's enough to keep you slim. I mean, again, I was a fat kid, but I kept off a lot of weight just by that. So, I mean, it's not like she was doing 3 at once. And so even if she does deviate from the grueling schedule of an hour and 15 minutes of cardiovascular exercise a day and one team sport that maybe has practice for an hour after school and then games, I don't think she'd be that hurt by it. It's going to be okay, SJW. It's going to be okay.
Oops, I stopped screen sharing.
Yeah, you did.
No! This poor, wretched 9-year-old was subjugated to a harsh, patriarchal, and misogynistic regime where she was able to enjoy 3 whole sports. 3! Which is better than 2, because 2 is a binary.
And I just realized I forgot to pull up an internet idiot.
Oh, we'll find one. Is this your last one, or is there another one?
This is the last one. Did we do Shoplifting Fandom yet? I forget.
We haven't done Shoplifting Fandom yet. That would be our next game.
Alright, then I'll just pull up one of those examples.
Yes. You can see how very professional we are, folks. So very professional.
Serially.
Mm-hmm.
Professional.
Here, can you guys see this? Nope.
Nope, not yet. You're still presenting the young lady who's done an amazing thing, by the way.
One other note about this is that the SJW in question called out, thin privilege is people, thin people being able to go, ew, ugly person, yay, healthy person, right? Well, is that a privilege?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean,
like we've talked, me and Shield and Crazy, we've all talked about what privilege constitutes, and I don't think that falls on the scale that we agreed on.
I don't think privilege is hard to define because everyone has certain privileges. So I guess
Not to mention, receiving privilege is not exactly the fault of the person receiving it. It's the fault of the person giving that privilege because of that trait.
Indeed. So, I mean, let's be honest, I don't think it's actually privilege. I think the ability to say, yay, this person has decided to do something and stepped up and done it at such a young age and taking control of herself and her life and been able to do it successfully, because there are a lot of people who cannot do it successfully. To celebrate the achievements of someone is not a privilege in any way, shape, or form. It is a simple expression of human life that we all must learn to comprehend.
Are you ready for the stupidity? The ultimate funny?
I haven't even looked at it. Go ahead and read it.
Alright, I chose this one because it's intersectionality. At shoplifting side of Tumblr. Y'all need to be stealing for some trans youth that can't get binders. That'd be helpful. So helpful, son.
Okay, just so everyone is aware, I like binders. Binders help with my rather large breasts. It's very easy for me to get frustrated with being unable to do things, and so binders are nice.
How helpful is it for a poor trans kid, right, who's been walking around with their binder, to get pulled over by the cops and then arrested and taken to jail because they're suspected of stealing the binders from local stores when actually some funny little Robin Hood has been stealing the binders on their behalf? Instead, why aren't we just, creating a charity where
Binders aren't even sold in stores. You have to buy them online. Sorry.
Yeah, you have to buy them online, and they have to be specially fitted.
Right, but so wouldn't it be better just to, I don't know, drive for money to help sponsor kids getting their binders sized and properly ordered? Wouldn't that be the best thing to do?
Yeah.
Would that also raise awareness of the problem at hand here? The inaccessibility of binders? Wouldn't that also create enough positive publicity that positive things are being done by positive people for a positive cause, rather than a thief stealing merchandise for a student that hasn't asked for it?
I was just going to say on my end that I would never accept it if I knew it was stolen, because
Harboring stolen property is a crime, for one thing.
It is, and if the poor child is doing it unknowingly, that's also further criminality on the person that provided the binder to them. Like, here you go, kid. I'm not going to tell you where I got this, but you can have it. Oh yeah, I'll take this wrapping that you stole from a sports athletics store. Yeah, I'll take this ace bandage and wrap it around myself.
Which, by the way, properly...
Never bind with an ace bandage. Never.
Yeah, properly imbinding...
Yeah, I assumed that everyone in the audience would immediately start groaning and gasping at the audacity of using an ace bandage for that purpose, because it's not meant to be used that way.
Well, also, it can stop your heart if you bind wrong.
Yeah, it will hurt you. Please don't use an ace bandage.
Yeah, so... No,
Please
don't. Please don't.
Do that. Please.
Just, like... Duh. No, don't.
Duct tape is better than a fucking ace bandage. I don't even bind, and I know that.
That would happen from, you tell a bunch of shoplifters, right? Go steal a bunch of bindings for some poor trans kids. What do you think they're going to get? They're going to go into a CVS or a Walgreens or a Walmart and steal up a bunch of ace bandages and haul those out. That's what's going to happen, because that much stupidity is going to result in that much harm. So I come back. The best thing that Tumblr should be doing, right? The thing that they're not doing, because that's oppressive and patriarchal, is to create a charity drive to raise money for these kids and sponsor them to get their bindings.
Yep. I mean, right. This is what shoplifting brings us to. Let me stop right here and say next week is going to be all my rage. All of it.
Ooh.
Because shoplifting fandom. Woo!
Because I
gotta stop. You gotta stop. You can't. Save it next week.
Next week. You guys will understand why I am so angry within the first 5 minutes about shoplifting fandom, because it's not a fad, people. It's money. It's not something you do, and I'll explain that next week. So, are we going to do our uplifting story of the week?
Yes, and this one is more fucking hilarious.
Okay.
And I'm sure all you fellow Fallout fans will enjoy this.
Oh, hello, Fallout fan?
Manthos sends thousands of bottle caps to Bethesda to pre-order Fallout 4.
Oh, what?
What's the exchange rate on that?
I don't know.
Awesome.
Magnitudes of awesome.
Here's the letter. Like, he bragged about it on Immigrant, I believe. Hello, boys and girls. If it's not already obvious, I'm a pretty big fan of the series. Needless to say, I got pretty excited when I started seeing more and more about Fallout 4. I've also noticed you're now accepting pre-orders. I only saw prices listed in pre-war dollars, and I wasn't exactly sure what the exchange rate is these days. So I went ahead and sent everything I've been able to save since I played Fallout 3 for the first time. Using my bathroom scale and a number I found on Wikipedia, I'm thinking this is somewhere in the range of 2,240 bottle caps. That ought to cover it, right? I'm a PC person and my Steam ID is blank. If that doesn't work out, my email is blank. If caps are not an acceptable form of payment, let me know, and I'm sure we can work something out. Additionally, I'm going to be moving in August, so if you need to send me anything, like a return of my life savings, after then, the return address won't be any good. Just email me and we can sort it out. Thanks for taking time to read this. Here's hoping 7.5 years worth of bottle cap hoarding doesn't just end up in the Bethesda trash can. Best, Seth.
Okay, so
Lord.
I want anyone who is a Fallout modder to go ahead, and I know for a fact because I've hunted it down so many times. There's a trash can like right next to the Bethesda studios, so if somebody could put that many bottle caps in a box and just go ahead and mod that in so it appears every time on the console version, I may just go buy the console version, not the console, the computer version. I may just actually go buy a computer version. because this man needs a gold medal. He has out-Fallouted me in how amazingly dedicated he is to this fandom.
Tell them the reason for your phone choice.
Oh yes, I've just upgraded to a big girl phone because I've been not in need but in want for the whole big girl iPhone thing. I have my own phone, but I need a phone that's on a contract. So I finally, buckled my big girl pants and got an iPhone. And the reason I got an iPhone was not because I think iPhones are better. In fact, I'm a big Android fan. Not, in fact, because, I like the design. The only reason I got an iPhone was because of Fallout Shelter.
Yeah, but so it's still, one, I'm sure Bethesda will end up giving him a collector's edition for this. Two, I wonder the kind of conversations he had when collecting these bottle caps, because there's no way you could have gotten all those on your own. You had to have gone to every bar.
Could you imagine his roommates?
Yes.
Like, could you imagine those poor roommates? Like, yo, man, what's up? Hey, man, you ain't gonna throw that bottle cap out, are you? I might have. Give it over. Put it in the stash.
Dude, why are you collecting all these bottle caps? For a really elaborate joke about a video game that may or may not come out.
No. This guy must be a hit with all the geek girls because he'll just slide up and he goes, "You know what? You want to come back and see my bottle cap collection?"
I'm the richest mofo in town.
Yeah. The apocalypse comes, I'm set. Remember that one dude who's like a Russian and has like the entire house to himself and he's just banging the chicks and getting drunk? Yeah, that's going to be me in the apocalypse.
I got so many post-war currency. I got caps. Like, my caps got caps.
I get caps for days.
Oh my god. Oh, this is one of the best stories to come out. It makes my day.
Yes, and we have a little bit more time to fill. So everyone's excited about Fallout 4, right?
Yeah.
Have you heard about Anissa Sarkeesian complaining about the violence in the Fallout and Doom trailers, though?
Are you kidding me? I'm
not. She was complaining about violence in fucking Doom.
Well,
Okay.
I'm not surprised that our Lord and Savior, Manita, patron saint of all that is healthy and Care Bear, right? That she would deem herself to come down and speak her puritanical praise upon the wonderfulness that is, like, Gone Home, and then decry the violence and gore of Doom. So I'm not surprised, right? The woman's allowed and entitled to her opinion, and I'm just going to sit here and laugh at it.
Let me see if I can find the tweets.
Oh, good lord.
I'm trying to remember what the violence was. Like, I know they took out a super mutant with a fat boy.
And the audience cheered.
Yeah.
Because
No way! How could these imbeciles, these monkeys, sit there and cheer at the senseless slaughter of the poor innocent mutant on screen?
Here's it is.
Okay.
I
Super mutants have feelings too, guys.
Yeah, okay. No, they don't. There is maybe one super mutant I wouldn't kill on the. No, two. There are two super mutants I wouldn't kill on the spot in Fallout 3. Okay. What is she saying? This level of extreme violence shouldn't be considered normal. It's not an excuse to say it's expected because Doom. That's the problem. It's really troubling and depressing that BE3's audience is enthusiastically cheering for bodies being ripped apart. Only a few minutes into the Bethesda press conference and its wall-to-wall glorification of grotesque violence, I can barely watch. You know what, Anita? You don't have to.
And the best part is...
No, wait a minute. You can stand up. You can turn your little hiney around. You can take those big old hoop earrings in your hands and you can walk the fuck out of there. Because if you don't want to see the game that I love and adore blow shit up, which is the only thing it was good at, for the longest time because of all the glitches, if you don't like the slow-mo death cams, you can leave. You can take your little gamer and you can go to the happy, fun, cheerful side of gaming because that exists. And you can do that. That's an equal amount of gamer that's equally as gamer as the game I want to play. The game I want to blow up a super mutant behemoth with a fat boy in. The game I want to rip people apart in. It is a violent post-apocalyptic game about the end of war. There is no way you can address war that hasn't already been done without violence.
War. It never changes.
Exactly.
Macintosh actually had some good tweets as well, but I can't seem to find them.
Okay.
Because they've been buried in Kotaku in action.
Let me see if I can finish this, and if you find Macintosh, I'll respond to him.
Okay.
See, here's the thing, Anita, and you can watch this video. I don't mind that you don't like the violence. In fact, I'm okay with that. I don't mind that you voice your opinion. In fact, if you want to sit there and make your tropes in video games for women, that's cool too, because I'm not watching it. I'm really not. But you do not get to sit there and complain about sitting in your seat and watching my video game. You have the right and the freedom to stand up and protest this by leaving. But you didn't. Instead, you stood there and you tweeted about it like some kind of martyr. Well, here's the thing. This game, the whole point of this game is how horrible humanity becomes in the wake of war. It is exactly about understanding the nature of humanity and how we have to fight against it. It is about having to do things you would not necessarily want to do in real life because you're in this situation. So for you to act like it's not an excuse is bullshit. I'm calling you out here, Arnita. It's bullshit.
And I found Macintosh.
It's Brahmin shit.
Careful now, ladies. By contesting the words of Anita Sarkeesian, you are revealing yourselves to in fact be sock puppet accounts for men.
Uh-huh. Clearly I'm crushing my balls right now to get my voice the way it is.
Clearly. Now, Macintosh, you're a different story. You should know better. Macintosh, you do get to leave. You do get to go over to the happy, fun, cheerful side. And that is equally good. But let's see what you have. This shit is sick. There is something deeply, seriously wrong with anyone who's cheering for this. Doom 4. Doom 4 is about killing demons. I'm sorry, Macintosh. If a demon came up to me and I had a gun, I would kill it without remorse. Must make me a horrible person.
Does this out Jonathan Macintosh as being a full demon supporter?
Clearly.
Just pointing that out that he's now the Lord of Darkness.
Gamers cheering loudly at scenes of brutal dismemberment. God, this is depressing. Welcome to the gaming industry. Again, this is a fantasy fulfillment entertainment system. Fantasy does not equal reality. It doesn't say anything about a person. Everyone has these individual thoughts. And if you say you don't, Jonathan McIntosh, you are a fucking liar. So you can go over with Anita Sarkeesian and take your balls, as small as they are, in your hands and walk your little ass over there. Because this is part of gaming. And if you don't like it, you can ignore it, you can embrace it, or you can get the fuck over it. Preferably by building me a bridge. Okay? And literally every shot in the entire Bethesda sizzle reel featured extreme violence, nothing else. No, it showed a lot of things. In fact, I'd like to point out that there is at least 5 or 6 scenes that are nothing more than exploring the wasteland in post-apocalyptic.
Hey, look at how well we recreated Boston natives. Can we get a cheer? That's literally, and also, people aren't cheering because of the violence, they're cheering because it's fucking Doom. There hasn't been a Doom game in 10 years.
Well, so a larger point here is that this last quote proves it perfectly, right? This is modern game design, end quote. Who's saying that? Who is defining the limitation of modern game design to be violence and gore, right? Is that the industry? Is the industry as a whole collection of private design corporations? Are they collectively deciding that modern game design is exclusively extreme violence and nothing else? Or is it Jonathan McIntosh making a stupid tweet? Which of those two parties is making the statement here? I'm reading Jonathan McIntosh. Jonathan McIntosh is the one that's declaring that modern game design is limited to extreme violence. Because just the other day, I downloaded this wonderful game. Anyone going to ask me which one it is?
Yeah, go.
Banished.
Vanished.
Yeah, I was sat there and I was like, I've not played Banished in a long time. Now, Banished is a modern game. I think most of us would agree. And it's beautiful. It's glorious. And doesn't depict a single ounce of human-to-human violence. The game isn't perfectly structured as a horror game of cityscape, where you design a culture and then you watch it as it tries to survive in a rugged wilderness. That's a story, right? And Jonathan McIntosh completely ignores that this game exists because he just recently watched a Doom trailer, and now the entirety of modern gaming is only violence. Jonathan McIntosh, please go snuff a pill or something, right? Lean down on your easy fainting couch, sir, because I'm sure you're not able to handle reality. My goodness is all I can say.
Allow me to bring. I have my Steam list up. So let's see. I have Anti-Chamber, Democracy 3. Let's see. Fast and Light has some violence in it. Let's see. How about?
I have Castle Story, Cities XL.
I've got
Chroma Squad, Skylines, Crusader Kings, Darwinia,
I got the Portal games.
Democracy.
How about Tiny Bang Story? You ever played Tiny Bang Story? It's an amazing little puzzle game. It took me maybe 20 minutes to play through because I was really good at the whole puzzle solving game. But it's a really atmospheric game. I mean, you don't know Jack, the Yogg Windborn, which has just gone offline, by the way. But Long Live the Queen only shows death when you mess up. It's all about tactics. I mean,
half my games, like Dishonored, Deus Ex, Human Revolution, the best endings are the ones where you're completely pacifist, where you either avoid everyone or just knock them out. Half my games are visual novels, where there's hardly any violence at all.
I've got Endless Space, EVE Online, Fract OSC, which is a game where you learn how to construct music or EDM music, and that's the entire narrative of the game. It's a wonderful experience. From Dust, Faster.
Oh, I would like that game.
Yeah, I'm sure you would.
That game actually sounds fun.
Incredipede Influent, which is a game where you learn languages. It's very fun. Kerbal Space Program. I will give it as violent, but that's not the point of the game. Not intentionally so, anyway.
You're not intentionally causing violence. You're just sucking at
I
sending
am a
people
little
up
bit
into
snickering
space.
at it, though. I am snickering at it.
Yeah, the same way you snickered at Roller Coaster Tycoon when you were 10.
I still snicker at Roller Coaster Tycoon, which is on this list here.
He does, very loudly and
Yes, I
often
do.
when we're in calls together.
Medieval
Here's-
Engineers, Mini Metro, Space Engineer, Multiwinia, Prison Architect, Portal and Portal 2.
Joe
Yes,
the
the
Bull
Portal
has
games.
pointed out. The Bull has pointed out that our grandmothers are often doing excessive violence. As Bejeweled is a game of horrible violence. Look at all those crystalline life forms being destroyed.
Oh, the poor things. He's
I mean-
right. One thing we have not covered, and we should, as a society, is we should talk about, non-crystalline. I completely lost the joke there.
Oh, but Polaris 598 said someone should make a pre-apocalyptic game where you have to stock up on supplies while convincing your friends and family that you're not crazy. I agree.
Love that. That's a great idea.
I played it.
Polaris,
Dude, make it
someone
Kickstarter.
should. Polaris, I'm going to challenge you to make that game. There's a place called, there's a site called Udemy, which is hosting a course will teach you how to use Unity 5 to develop like 6 full realized games, and that'll get you started on creating a game. I'm going to challenge you, rather than taking that awesome idea, and that really is a good one, you do it, where you maybe the mechanic of the game is that you understand that you're trying to predict what the end of the world's going to be. And
Or
so
you're the scientist that realizes something or other.
Right. So you're trying to order all of these things to your house, and there's a suspicion meter, right? Where the community around you feels suspicious because you have these trucks showing up in the dead of night with all this stuff, and you also have a security meter, and stuff like that. Oh yeah, Polaris, you gotta run with that idea, and you can make
That'd make a fun visual novel if you can't do an actual video game.
Yeah,
and here's another thing.
Using Unity, you probably could make this as a 2D game without much graphic anything. You could probably do this very, very easily if you work hard on it. So I'm going to challenge you, Polaris. Go ahead, man. Run with that game. I'm sure you could, girl.
There is a game, not quite like that, but it's called 60 Seconds, and it has a short little game where you have to, I've been playing it, and I'm actually really frustrated because I don't have a gaming computer. I want to be part of the PC master race, but unfortunately all I've got is this little laptop. I can't go anywhere near affording an actual gaming computer.
Yeah, your laptop is merely a passport that allows you into the master race nation.
Indeed. So there's a game that I'm actually pretty frustrated I can't play fully called 60 Seconds, because the first part of 60 Seconds is this 3D rendered house, but I keep lagging so much in the house that I die every single time. So I actually have to use a different mode that just assumes a certain amount of food and water in each scenario and see how long I last. It's a really great game, and Polaris, if you could jump off that idea where the first part of 60 Seconds, which is literally the first minute of the game, is the entire game. If you could make that into a game, I would play it.
Yeah, so Polaris, you've just been challenged. Go for it. I want to hear back from you soon.
Yeah, we do want to hear about this, guys. If you guys have good game ideas, if you guys have topics we want to talk about, because to be honest, we're just throwing out whatever topics hit us that day. If you guys come into chat next time and you have something we can talk about, we can even have days where people just bring in information, send us links, talk to us. We're all on Twitter. I'm APHY fan. She's Crazy Logical 1. He's Calvin 8. Just come talk to us. We want to know some input from you. So Polaris, please go ahead and make that game.
Yeah, and if you guys have any suggestions for future topics of the show, feel free to tweet at one of us to suggest it and point us to where we can find examples to laugh at.
Also, if you guys know where I can find a cheap gaming computer and/or Chobit in the trash, go ahead and point me to that. It does have to be in the southeast area of the U.S. because I am so sick of this laptop. So sick of it.
Trust
Anyway.
me and Crazy are kind of sick of it too.
Yeah. Although Sager actually makes some pretty good laptops for a fairly affordable price.
I'm looking at Alienware, but it's like $1,000, which I just don't have.
You can get
I-
an Alienware level laptop with Sager for a fraction of the price.
Okay.
I have a Sager gaming laptop.
So I might create the game. Yeah, Polaris, if your brother knows more about game making than you, maybe talk to them about doing that and helping you out with it.
Well, you can make the 3D models, dude.
Yeah, you don't have to do anything super like for the type of game where you're like a survival horror, and the kind of maybe the paranoia that comes along with being, that guy before the apocalypse occurs, right? You don't want to have super high fidelity graphics, so you can easily pump out some really low res, low poly models. Give it its own distinct flair that way, and don't go heavy on the graphics. Don't go heavy on the. Just keep it in his house. Keep it inside this person's house, and stuff like that. Talk with your brother about helping you make it. This can be a good idea. Ty also had a really good idea about the SJW game of tilting at windmills. Don Quixote von SJW.
Oh man, now I gotta listen to Man of La Mancha.
Well, yeah, true. All right, guys. With about 10 minutes left, I want to pull this back to what we were originally talking about.
The fat thing?
The fat thing. Yeah, we've kind of lost it in the gaming thing, but no, what we were originally talking about is feminine frequency and Jonathan McIntosh and their professional umbrage taking.
Oh, we gotta go back to talking about them. They're somewhat important.
Well, less them and more the professional umbrage takers out there, because it's not just in gaming; it's everywhere. Okay, so I want to dial it back to let's have a little chat, you guys. Okay.
All right. Well, while you guys go ahead and have that chat, I'm gonna go ahead and see myself out since I've got other places to go and be. It's been a pleasure, guys, talking to both of you. And audience, y'all are awesome. Y'all keep being awesome. Okay.
All right.
You guys continue on with your chat. I'll listen on as before I jet out.
Okay.
Peace out.
All right.
Peace out.
Peace out.
So here's what I'm going to say to you guys. Professional umbrage takers are everywhere. This show is an impossible thing for them to do. To laugh in their faces and say, look, if this is the worst problem you guys are having with Doom, if this is the worst problem you're having with Fallout, then maybe we should be having a discussion about how small and narrow your lives have gotten. You guys are going to have to deal with this, because gaming as a central part of culture, just like fat, just like everything else, has become segmented. It's become all that a person's personality is supposed to be. If you're a fat person, you have to be interested in fat politics. If you're a gamer, you have to be interested in gaming politics. And according to these SJWs, you have to be on the right side of gaming politics. Well, I'm here to tell you that's bullshit. That's absolute pure bullshit. And what you need to do with any professional umbrage taker you walk up to this week is tell them to chill their tits and put on their big boy panties and have an adult conversation with you. Okay? So that's what I want to leave you with today, is the thought that people who are like the SJWs who tell me that if I don't find a certain body type or a certain personal look appeasing, that I'm somehow bigoted. I'm going to laugh at them. I'll tell you, I love the person I'm in love with. It doesn't matter what their body shape is. So
Same here.
So if they're telling me that if I fell in love with a fat person, I'd somehow not be doing it out of pure love, they're wrong. And so what I'm trying to say is, and I'm incredibly distracted by feminine frequencies, big old hoop earrings, so forgive me. What I'm trying to say here is, learn to laugh in people's faces, and do so because it's going to keep you sane. because that's the only way to fight SJWs. So, yeah, just kind of tell them to chill their tits and get them nice and perky. But don't actually sexually harass them, guys, because that ain't cool.
Yeah.
But, you know, the point of this all is go out there, have fun, laugh in people's faces if you have to, climb a mountain, jump on a car, beat your chest, and dance around, because it ain't going to get any better than this, folks. And with that, I bid you farewell.
And don't spill the spaghetti, please.
Bye. If I can actually figure out how to close this. Ah!